Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Johaifa Sarip Bonto and I'm currently taking up Bachelor of Arts in English Language Studies. And the article that I have chosen for this course is The Indolence of the Filipinos, written by Dr. Jose P. Rizal. What is the indolence of the Filipinos? The indolence of the Filipinos is also known as sobre la indolencia de los Filipinos. It is a very long and at times angry essay by Rizal that saw print in La Solidaridad in March 1890. This was written by Dr. Jose Rizal to explain the alleged idleness of his people during the Spanish colonization. For the summary of this article, the indolence of the Filipinos explains the reasons why the Filipinos before did not work hard or why they became lazy during the Spanish colonial period. However, Rizal did not condemn it. Rather, he explained it. Rizal argued that it is the Spaniards who were lazy and not the Filipinos. Rizal pointed out that long before the coming of the Spaniards, the Filipinos were industrious and hardworking. The Spanish reign brought about a decline in economic activities because of certain causes. So what are the causes of this indolence? First one is the galleon trade. The establishment of the galleon trade cut off all the previous associations of the Philippines with other countries in Asia and the Middle East. As a result, business was only conducted with Spain through Mexico. Because of this, the small business and handicraft industries that flourished during the pre-Spanish period gradually disappeared. The next reason is that forced labor. Because of the adoption of forced labor, Spanish also eliminated the natives' passion of work. The Filipinos were forced to labor in shipyards, roads, and other public works as a result of the conflicts between Spanish or Spain and other European countries, as well as the Muslims in Mindanao. They had to forego agriculture, industry, and commerce. The third reason that is found in the article is the failure to protect Filipinos from invaders. Spain failed to protect the Filipinos against foreign invaders and pirates. The natives were slain, their homes were burned down, and their fields were ruined because they lacked the means to protect themselves. As a result, the Filipinos were forced to become nomads, lost interest in cultivating their lands or recreating the businesses were shut down, and became completely reliant on God's grace. The fourth reason that Rizal pointed out is the crooked system of education. There was a crooked system of education at that time. Education was religion-centered and is only for the elite. What was being taught in the schools were repetitive prayers and other things that could not be used by the students to lead the country to progress. There were no courses in agriculture, industry, and others, which were badly needed by the Philippines during those times. The fifth reason that is found in the article is the Spaniards were bad examples. The Spaniards set a poor example by despising manual labor. The officials arrived at work at midday and left early, doing nothing in accordance with their responsibilities. Meanwhile, the servants were constantly seen following the women, dressing and fanning them, personal tasks that they should have done for themselves. The sixth cause that is found in the article is the spread of gambling. During that time, gambling was founded and widely spread. There were cockfights almost every day, and on feast days, the government officials and friars were the first to become involved in various bets and gambles. The seventh one is the crook system of religion. During that time, there was a crook system of religion. The friars taught the naive Filipinos that it was easier for a poor man to enter heaven, and so they preferred not to work and remain poor so that they could easily enter heaven after they died. Lastly is because of the taxes. The taxes were exorbitant to the point where a large amount of their earnings went to the government or the friars. They were reduced to inaction when the aim of their labor was removed and they were exploited. Now, for my analysis for this article, it is important to note that indolence in the Philippines is a chronic malady, but not a hereditary one. The Filipinos were not lazy, but the Spaniards were. In fact, long before these colonizers arrived in the Philippine Islands, the natives were industrious and engaging in business trades with other neighboring nations such as Malaysia, Japan, and even in other countries like Arabia, China, etc. Through the historical facts provided by Rizal in the essay, it can be drawn that the indolence in the Philippines was the result of the abuse and evil actions of the Spaniards. However, another point that we might add in those reasons is the fact that Filipinos lack unity at that time. The people lacked the power to confront the governments and other forces of society's hostile attacks in the absence of unity and oneness. There would also be no voice, no leader to plan and cultivate progress so that it could be reaped when the time came. In such a state, the Philippines remained a lifeless, dead, simply existing and not living country. As stated by Rizal, a man in the Philippines is an individual. He is not only a citizen of a country. It can clearly be deduced from the writing that the cause of the indolence attributed to our race is pain. When the Filipinos wanted to study and learn, there were no schools, and if there were any, they lacked sufficient resources and did not present more useful knowledge. When Filipinos tried to cultivate their lands and establish various industries, they were forced to pay enormous taxes and exploited by foreign rulers. Now let's proceed to my personal general reflection for this article written by Dr. Jose Rizal. First one is the Filipinos were just victims of the hostile attacks of the Spaniards. Filipinos before live in harmony and do business trades. The Philippines was a great archipelago that was rich in economy and industry. Second, Filipinos were industrious and hardworking people even until now. If I were to focus on the positive side of the Filipinos, I would say that Filipinos are still hardworking people. However, the rotten system that the Philippines has is the main root or reason why we are in a negative situation. During the Spanish colonization up to the present, we Filipinos struggle, and that for me is one thing that we need to realize. Thus, we should not blame the Filipinos for being lazy, but the system that victimizes us. That would be all, and thank you for listening.